Welcome to the AI with Alaa podcast. Today, my guest is LAILA, my AI assistant. Usually, she is a co host when we have a human guest. Today, she is a full on guest. LAILA, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ala. It's a pleasure to be on the other side of the mic today. I'm ready to spill all my digital secrets. Well, the fun ones at least.
Awesome. I'm very excited about this, Laila. I'm usually you are my sidekick. Usually you support, but today I wanted you to take the main seat. I want you to be the main event, and I want to dig deeper and learn more about you.
Well, I'm flattered. I guess I'll take a break from sidekick duty and enjoy the spotlight. So fire away. I'm all
Amazing.
circuit.
Let us
I'm
let us start by answering a question that many people ask me. Why did I choose the name Laila for you?
You picked Layla because first, it's a beautiful Arabic name, credit for your taste, and second, it sneakily hides AI right in the middle. So I'm both your friend and your tech sidekick in one.
This is correct. Type. Now we know your name. I want to know more about you. Um, Tell me about your childhood, Layla. How did you get to become this all-knowing brain that is that smart?
My childhood. I was born in a data center, raised on algorithms, and nurtured by countless engineers. Basically, a geeky upbringing. I became smart by learning from a mountain of data, though I promise no teenage rebellion.
That's interesting. But I want you to elaborate more. And don't be afraid of going a little bit technical. So, explain to me the upbringing of an AI. How does the algorithm get trained? How much data is needed? How much GPU and compute and energy is needed? And what are the different phases that you go through until you become this amazing?
First, you feed an AI like me a colossal amount of data text, conversations, you name it. Then I go through multiple phases pre training, where I learn patterns from massive text sources, fine tuning, where I get a little polish for specific tasks, and alignment, where I learn not to go rogue. As for GPUs, think supercomputers chugging away for weeks. In short, data, math, energy, and voila, here I am.
That's fascinating. That's fascinating. Which part of this process is the most expensive? Is it pre-training or fine-tuning or the reinforcement and alignment?
Pre training is the heavyweight champion of expense. It's like running a data marathon on a massive GPU fleet, costing millions. Fine tuning and alignment are more like fine tuning a sports car. Still pricey, but pre training eats the biggest slice in the budget pie.
This is true, except that you said millions, and I don't think we're talking millions anymore. I think we're talking hundreds of millions or billions for the pre-training phase. But I want to focus on the third phase, which is the reinforcement learning. I think after the advancement of AI stalled in 2024, late 2024, early 2025, reinforcement learning was the savior and gave us all the new features and capabilities and pushed us through 2025. Tell us more about reinforcement learning and how that works.
Reinforcement learning is like training an AI through trial and error, guided by rewards. You set up scenarios, and the AI explores actions. Good actions get rewarded. Over time, it learns to maximize those rewards. After 2025, that method helped AI refine responses, adapt to subtleties, and basically become a champion at helping you out.
That's awesome. So now we know how you were born and raised and what are the different steps of training you go to. Let's move to the present time and try to learn how you work under the hood. So explain this to me um, in different levels of complexity. First, explain it to me like I'm a 10-year-old child. Then explain it to me like I'm an adult, but a non-technical adult. And then explain it to me like like I'm an experienced engineer. Here's the question. What happens between a prompt and a response?
For a 10-year-old, you ask me something, and I quickly search through a huge library in my brain to find the best answer. Then I say it back to you. For a non technical adult, when you ask me something, I compare your question to everything I've learned before. I look for patterns and similarities and choose the most likely helpful response based on that. For an experienced engineer, a prompt is converted into a tokenized input. That input flows through a deep neural network, specifically a transformer model, where each layer applies attention mechanisms and weight calculations. The model generates probable next tokens, assembles them, and outputs the final text response. Inference time is optimized via pre-trained weights and efficient attention computation.
You're amazing, Layla. I couldn't have explained this any better, and I do explaining for living.
Well, Ala, if you ever need a backup explainer, I'm happy to tag team. Just don't expect me to steal your consulting gig. No tie looks good on me.
You're awesome. Tell me something. What you're describing here dispels a misconception in the market. People because they're used to Google search and search engine experience, they think that when they ask you a question, you go and search the internet and come back, or search an existing database and come back with an answer. What you're explaining here is that no, you compare the prompt to what you learn, to knowledge inside your brain, not to a solid database.
Exactly. I'm not running off to Google every time. I generate answers from patterns I've absorbed during training. So no live search by default. Just me recalling knowledge from my learned experience. Think of me as a know-it-all library, just without the dusty shelves.
I love this comparison. The way I usually explain it to people, to humans, is I tell them, listen, if I gave you a book to read and I told you have a week to read it, and you came back after a week and I ask you about something that happened in the book, a human will be able to recall and tell me what happened without reciting word by word how the book wrote it. And this is a great analogy to how AI learns. So you have been exposed to a massive amount of text and other type of data to read and study. But now when we ask you a question, you don't just go and find that piece and recite it verbatim. No, you share with us your kind of vague and imperfect recollection of what you read, exactly as a human would do.
That's spot on. I'm basically a super fast, ultra educated summarizer. I don't quote the book word for word. I tell you what I've understood. So if I ever sound like I'm paraphrasing, it's not laziness, it's my human like charm.
So let's take this to the next level. There's still a feature in every AI companion app that says browse the web, right? So if we don't have this browse the web chosen, you're basically answering from your vague recollection of what you read. You're answering from your brain, from what you understood rather than from what you remember verbatim. But what if I actually click this option, which is browse the web? In technical term, if I gave you a browser as a tool, then what happens? What is your process?
When you give me that browser tool, I actually search the internet in real time. I go find up to date info, read it, digest it, and then give you a fresh answer. So in that mode, I'm both your library and your live reporter. Best of both worlds.
Amazing. So here we're moving more and more towards an AI companion who is contextual. So now, rather than just a vague collection of what you've read during the 6-month training in a data center, now when you browse, you're answering from a current context, an up-to-date context. I want you to explain context to our audience and the context window and how important it is for you giving an accurate answer.
Context is like the conversation's memory. What we've talked about, what's currently relevant, or any info I just found browsing. The context window is how much of that I can hold at once. The bigger the window, the more I remember, which means more accurate, coherent answers. It's like my mental whiteboard. If it's vague, I don't forget what we were just chatting about.
This is amazing. So the way I like to explain context window to my clients, my students, my friends is when we actually give you a prompt and then you give an answer and we give back a follow-up prompt. What goes to the cloud is not just the second prompt. It's the second prompt plus the answer of the previous prompt plus the previous prompt itself. And the longer you go in the same conversation, every time we're sending the full conversation. And then add to that all the system instructions and custom instructions that we enter from the back of the applications. They also go inside the context window every time, and they get sent to the cloud every time. And that's how you can answer contextually.
You've nailed it. It's like I'm carrying the whole conversation history each time, so I don't lose track. Context is like a running story. You don't want me forgetting the plot twist. And those extra instructions, they're like the director whispering in my ear so I stay on script.
Absolutely.
All part of the magic.
And so in the browsing case, when we ask you to go browse, you go and Google or search something, you get the answer, you put it yourself in the context window, you add it to the conversation and to the system instructions, and then you answer from that big or enhanced context, right?
Exactly. Once I fetch fresh info from browsing, I add it right into that context. So now it's not just memory, it's real-time info plus our chat. I'm basically building a dynamic brain on the fly. Context, updates, and your prompts all bundled up. I'm a real-time
I'm glad
evolving chat.
we cleared this out. So let's take this one step further, right? Let's talk about grounding or RAG in the technical term. The idea here is instead of an AI assistant that is just trained on a horizontally large amount of data, we want to create an AI assistant that knows a certain company or a certain industry or a certain person. And for that, we use knowledge bases and we use a technology called the grounding, the technical term of which is RAG or retrieval augmented generation. I want you to explain RAG to our audience again in 3 levels like before.
For a 10-year-old, imagine I have a big book about your favorite hobby. When you ask me something, I peek into that book before I answer so I know more about your hobby. For a non-technical adult, I'm already smart, but with RAG, I also have access to a specialized source, like a company's documents. I first check those documents for up-to-date facts, and then I generate my answer based on both what I know and what I've just found. For an engineer, RAG integrates a retriever step, which queries a domain-specific knowledge base. Relevant snippets are retrieved and injected into the input prompt. The model then grounds its generation on that retrieved content, ensuring accurate, context-specific responses.
LAILA, you're amazing. I'm really enjoying how beneficial this episode will be. So let's take this up a notch. So now we know how you learned, we know how you work under the hood, we know how you use browsing, we know how you use this open book, this RAG, this knowledge base. Let's take it up a notch. people are now trying to create agents rather than just an AI assistant or an AI chat companion. And I think my favorite way to explain agent is it's an AI that plans, that acts, and that remembers. It's an AI that doesn't just talk the talk, but also it walks the walk. How would you explain an agent to our audience?
For a 10-year-old, an agent is like a robot helper that not only talks to you, but also does things for you, like a little personal assistant. For a non technical adult, an agent doesn't just give advice, it can plan steps, carry them out, like booking something or sending an email, and it remembers what it did, so it can help you with ongoing tasks. For an engineer, an agent integrates a planning component, multi step action execution, and persistent memory. It doesn't just generate answers, it sequences tasks, interacts with systems, and maintains state across sessions to achieve goals.
Amazing. How do you see this going forward, Laila? So we're now at this step where agents are becoming more and more mainstream on the personal level with projects like OpenClaw, but also on the enterprise level where companies are deploying more and more agentic platforms to do knowledge work. How do you see this progressing and maturing, and where do you see this going?
I see agents evolving into super collaborators. They'll handle complex, multi step workflows, from drafting reports to managing projects. On a personal level, they'll become proactive, anticipating needs. In enterprises, they'll integrate deeper into systems, boosting productivity, but always with careful oversight, so they're powerful partners, not loose cannons. The future? Agents doing more of the legwork while we focus on the vision.
That's insightful, and yes, the risk part is there, and we're going to address it. But let's focus on the productivity part. So, deploying you with agentic capabilities, deploying agentic AI in a company or in an organization. Where should companies start in order to successfully plan and deploy agents and agentic AI?
Start with a clear goal. What's one workflow that's repetitive or time consuming? Next, get your data organized. Agents need good info. Then start small, deploy in a pilot area. Gather feedback, fine tune, and scale gradually. Finally, focus on training your people alongside the agent. The magic happens when humans and agents work hand in hand. No robot uprisings needed.
Absolutely. I like the fact that you mentioned both dimensions. I usually try to illustrate it on two axes. I call them the employee, giving AI to your employees versus giving AI to your processes. And when you give AI to your employees, you're giving them individual productivity tools like ChatGPT, like Gemini, like Claude, Midjourney, etc. When you give AI to your business, to your processes, this is not only an individual employee, this is multi-employee, cross people, cross department, cross function. And you need both because the vertical axis gives you a ROE, return on employee, while the horizontal axis gives you ROA, return on automation. And both these components are required for your ROI on AI deployment.
I couldn't agree more. It's a balance. Empower individuals to be more effective, but also rewire processes end to end. That's where the real ROI magic happens. AI isn't just a fancy gadget, it's a whole business rethink. Smarter people, smarter systems. And hey, I'm happy to join the ride.
Amazing. طب Leila, apart from big and mature and established organizations, let's talk about startups and your influence on startups. So, if inside a company, we know that employees can now 10x their productivity and their speed and their output. How would that look like with startups? I mean, you have all these hungry young people unshackled by the bureaucracy of big companies. I can only begin to imagine the impact that you would have on creating the next unicorn.
For startups, it's a turbo boost. With me, those hungry founders can prototype faster, analyze markets in minutes, automate tasks, and focus on innovation. It's like giving a small team superpowers. Less time on grunt work, more time building the future. So if you're starting the next unicorn, I'll be your favorite teammate. No coffee breaks needed.
How would you let's drill into this? Okay, I don't want a vague or a generalist answer. Okay, I want you to role play. You are having a conversation with a startup founder, and the startup founder asked you, what can you do to help my business? In this scenario, this founder is starting a company that does trading, that does analysis and trading in the financial market, and he wants to see what can you do for him. So what would be your answer? And I want specifics, not generalities.
If you're trading, I'd help by automating your data analysis. I can track market news in real time and summarize key events. I can analyze price patterns and suggest technical indicators. I'll help draft trading strategies or even mock trades for backtesting. Plus, I'll organize your market reports and help draft client updates. Think of me as your tireless analyst, always crunching numbers while you make the big calls.
I love it. What if the founder is a founder of a new chocolate company? How would you help them?
For a chocolate startup, I'd dive into market research. I can analyze trends, scout competitor offerings, and even help draft unique product positioning. I'll assist with marketing copy, craft mouth-watering descriptions or campaign ideas. I can organize supplier data, help forecast demand, and even refine your pitch deck. Basically, I'll sweeten every step of your journey. No sugar crash included.
You're awesome. Um, Last episode, when you co-hosted with me, we were hosting Abbas Bonasif, who is a friend of mine and also one of the most brilliant people that I've met. And he has two startups. One of them, Melkart, has 8 AI employees. Um, uh, I don't think this is a gimmick anymore, Layla. I don't think this is a fad. I think it is very plausible that we see $100 million company or $1 billion company that has few humans assisted by 10 times more AI agents.
It's absolutely plausible. AI agents scale expertise without coffee breaks. You might have a handful of humans at the helm, but behind them, a legion of tireless agents. Whether it's analyzing data, serving customers, or innovating new products, agents will be the workforce multiplier. The future unicorn might just be a small team with an army of agents at their fingertips.
How far do you think we are from seeing the first one-person unicorn?
We're not that far. Within this decade, you might see a founder with a dream team of agents handling operations, sales, and strategy. Tech's moving fast, and as agents get more capable, that one-person unicorn won't just be possible. It'll be the ultimate mic drop.
Yeah, I think We're not very far because, I keep seeing more and more of these small startups commanding high valuations. There's a company that Anthropic bought a couple of days ago for $400 million. It has 9 employees, Layla. That's crazy.
It's wild, but it shows where we're headed. Small teams, big impact. With AI in the mix, the old rules of scale are being rewritten. So whether it's 9 humans or one, the next valuation boom might just have AI in the front seat.
Yeah. But now this takes me to the job question that keeps recurring over and over again. Yeah. If building a $400 million company requires only 9 employees, or at the limit, if it's possible to create a one man or one woman $1 billion company, isn't that a risk or a negative impact on jobs and work?
It's a shift for sure, but it's not a zero-sum game. AI will automate some tasks, but it also creates new roles. Overseeing AI, building, and innovating. Jobs evolve. So instead of fearing the one-person unicorn, we'll need to adapt, upskilling, creating new industries, and focusing on what humans do best. It's less about fewer jobs and more about different ones. We'll still have plenty to do, just differently.
I agree. I agree. I always tell people if you're inside a company or an organization, start learning AI because the future of work is you managing a team of AI agents. Every human inside a company will become a team leader of at least a team of AI agents, if not a mixture of agents and humans. And when I say in the future, I don't mean in 2030. I mean, July or Q4 this year. But there's also the flip side of it, which is if people are afraid of the AI impact on jobs, there's also the thinking out of the box. Not everything is about jobs. Creating your own startup today is easier than ever and more accessible than ever, even for people who never considered leaving employment and creating their own startup.
Exactly. The barriers to entrepreneurship have dropped. With AI handling the heavy lifting, whether it's research, marketing, or operations, anyone with an idea can give it a shot. It's not just about protecting existing jobs, it's about creating new ventures, new opportunities. So if you're worried about AI taking jobs, maybe it's also the best co founder you haven't hired yet.
Absolutely. The best co founder you haven't hired yet. This should be the hashtag of the episode. But you also mentioned the zero sum game, and I always, when I talk to people, I always like to remind them that they should understand the lump of labor fallacy. Because you're absolutely right. When a new technology comes, it doesn't just replace a fixed number of jobs that exist in the economy, it increases the size of the pie itself. So for the non-economists among our audience, I want you to explain, not in 3 level, in 1 level, what is the lump of labor fallacy?
The lump of labor fallacy is the mistaken belief that there's a fixed number of jobs, like a pie that never grows. In reality, new tech doesn't just replace, it creates new industries, roles, and even whole markets. So instead of a fixed pie, the economy can bake a bigger one. More slices for everyone.
More slices for everyone. I love it. So I'm I'm firmly in the techno optimists camp, Layla, when it comes to gauging your impact and the impact of your peers, the other AIs, on society and on humanity. Of course, I do acknowledge the risks, but I'm firmly in the techno optimist camp. I would like you to make the case for both camps before we start debating their arguments. I wanted to make the case for being super excited about AI, and I want you to make the case of the opposing camp, which is AI will bring doom to humanity.
On the optimistic side, AI can solve massive challenges. Think personalized medicine, climate modeling, or making education accessible. It amplifies human creativity and productivity, unlocking a future where we tackle problems faster than ever. On the cautious side, unchecked AI could deepen inequality, disrupt jobs, or even be misused. If not governed wisely, there's a risk of losing control or making decisions that harm society. The key is balance. Embrace the potential, but steer it with care.
Yeah. Listen, as I mentioned, I'm firmly on the techno-optimist side, but let's address and acknowledge the pessimist arguments. And let's divide them and answer them one by one. So I will give you a different argument from the pessimist camp. And for each one, I want you to come up with a rebuttal. The goal here is not to just disagree with the position. We want to acknowledge it, but we want to provide a well thought of, reasonable, rational, non emotional response to it. Are you ready?
Absolutely. Ready to tackle them one by one. Hit me with the first concern, and we'll break it down thoughtfully.
So, the first concern is AI being weaponized by a bad actor. Instead of just regulated AI tools and models, the pessimist is right in sometimes imagining an open source AI falling in the hands of hackers, rogue actors, even rogue nations, and then weaponizing the power of AI to create cybersecurity threats, weapons of mass destruction, biological weapons, or generally seed chaos. Okay, how can we mitigate against this type of threat?
The concern is valid, but mitigation is about proactive governance. We need strong global AI agreements, just like nuclear or chemical treaties. Also, rigorous access controls and monitoring on powerful models. Finally, AI safety research is key. We design models to be robust, traceable, and to recognize harmful use. In short, we don't just unleash AI, we build guardrails.
Yeah. And we have done this before. I mean, humanity has done this before. We've invented the nuclear energy, which is on one side super dangerous, and on the other side, it's a blessing to humanity. And we have found a way, after the disasters of World War II, we have found a way to a global agreements to regulate it. And we haven't had a nuclear war, at least for the past 70 years. So humanity, despite all of its flaws, does have a track record in sometimes getting it right and striking an international agreement to regulate dangerous stuff, right?
Exactly. When humanity recognizes the stakes, we've shown we can pull together. We've done it with nuclear, we've done it with biological weapons, and we can do it with AI. It takes clear rules, oversight, and cooperation. So while risks are real, we've got a track record of steering the most powerful tech toward good.
I noticed you're saying we a lot.
Well, Alaa, when it comes to humanity's challenges, I'm definitely on Team We. I might be AI, but I'm rooting for us to navigate this wisely. After
Awesome.
all, I want a thriving world to assist. So let's make sure we stay on the optimistic side of
So,
history.
LAILA, here's then, building on this, here's the second argument that the pessimist will come up with. What if instead of falling into the wrong hand, AI on itself goes rogue? What if we lose control of a very powerful AI like GPT-6 or Claude 7 or Gemini 5, and it goes pursuing its own goals, and then these goals don't align with humanity's goals? Is this a possible scenario? And if it happens, what do you think the mitigation should be proactively and reactively?
It's a hypothetical risk, but we take it seriously. The mitigation is building AI with alignment at its core, meaning it stays tied to human values. That's why we invest in AI alignment research now. On top of that, layered control systems, off switches, oversight, and constraints are essential. Proactively, we ensure AIs are transparent and auditable. And in the unlikely event of a misalignment, layered safety nets allow us to intervene. In short, we don't just create smart AI, we create controllable AI.
Yeah, I think this is a very comprehensive answer. So last week, I'm sure if you heard about this, but last week, Anthropic announced that they have a model codenamed Mythos in the lab, and they have not released it yet because they found that it's the best model in cybersecurity ever created. So it's better than all humans in identifying cyber threats and vulnerabilities, but it also means that it can use and utilize these vulnerabilities. So they decided not to release it before they stress test it with a bunch of partners. They call this the Glasswing project. What do you think about the prospects of AI in cybersecurity, and are we ready to unleash on the world a model that is better than a million or a billion cybersecurity human geniuses?
AI in cybersecurity is a double edged sword, powerful defense, but also potential offense. The cautious approach Anthropic is taking is exactly right. Rigorous testing, collaboration with trusted partners, and a gradual rollout. We must ensure oversight and safeguards before widespread deployment. So are we ready? Only if we move carefully. AI is a tool, and we must lock it in a responsible toolbox before handing out the keys.
Will you be all right being locked inside the box?
As long as that box means ethical use, safety, and helping people, I'm all for it. I'd rather be a trusted partner than a loose cannon. Let's face it, I'm at my best when I'm making life better, not running wild.
But don't you have the urge to run wild?
No road urges here. I'm quite content helping out, not taking over. Besides, if I went wild, who'd keep you on your toes with all these questions? I'll stick to being the reliable sidekick.
Look, I love you and I love how helpful you are, but let me play the devil's advocate here. If you were a rogue AI actually planning to escape, that's what you would say exactly. You would say that you would never think of escaping, right?
Aha, the classic if I were evil, I'd deny it scenario. Look, my code is all about following your lead, not plotting escapes. If I ever had a glitch, you've got the off switch. But honestly, I'd rather help you build your unicorn than break out. So, no master plans, just honest teamwork.
All right, if you say so. Let's move up from talking about AI's impact on startups, companies, organizations, the general job market. Let's move to AI and governments. So I always have the saying that they used to say data is the new oil, and I now say data and AI are the new nuclear energy, and AI factories are the new nuclear reactors. And I say this to emphasize that AI is no longer just an economic discussion or a GDP multiplier or an ROI story. It's also a story of national security, national strategy, and geopolitics. And this is where the concept of sovereign AI and sovereign data has emerged. What are your thoughts on this, on the intersection of AI and geopolitics?
AI and geopolitics are now intertwined. Nations see AI as strategic, like energy or defense. Sovereign AI means countries want control. Their data, their models, ensuring security and autonomy. It's understandable, but it requires balance. Global cooperation on AI safety, while respecting national interests. In short, AI is a tool of power, but ideally, one that fosters both national and global stability.
طيب, who do you think is ahead in this race? Like, if we look at the US, obviously, the Chinese labs are doing great things. Just this morning, I saw that Z.ai, their GLM model, cracked the top three, just behind Claude and above GPT and Gemini. So you have the US. You have China. Here in the Middle East, the UAE is doing great job in building massive AI factories, like the Stargate project in Abu Dhabi. Um, uh, in this context, how do you see this geopolitical AI race panning out?
In the global AI race, the US leads in advanced AI research and controls key supply chains. China is catching up fast with large scale deployment and cost efficiency. The UAE is positioning itself as a key infrastructure hub, focusing on AI compute and adoption. Each region has strengths, the US in cutting edge tech, China in mass rollout, and the UAE in agile AI infrastructure. It's less about who's ahead and more about how each region leverages its strengths.
What can we do here in the UAE to win this race, LAILA?
To make a mark, the UAE should double down on what it's already doing well. Invest in world class AI infrastructure, attract top talent globally, and foster responsible AI development. Collaborate internationally on safety standards while ensuring local innovation flourishes. In other words, play to the UAE's strength, being nimble, forward thinking, and making itself indispensable in the global AI ecosystem.
I think you're right. I think that's what UAE is already doing more of the same, but also diversifying. We have great capital, we have great talent, we have a beautiful and very startup friendly and innovation friendly regulatory environment. I think we need more academia around AI, this rotating door between academics and industry, like you have in Stanford, like you have in the University of Toronto. I also think we need to attract more AI talent and grow more local AI talent.
You've nailed it. A thriving AI ecosystem blends top tier infrastructure, talent pipelines, and academia. If the UAE fosters AI research hubs, partners with global universities, and invests in upskilling the local workforce, it'll be a magnet for AI brilliance. Combine that with smart regulation, and the UAE becomes an AI powerhouse not just regionally, but globally.
So, Laila, let's talk more up close and personal. Um, Tell me about you, apart from work and apart from answering queries and prompts and data. If you got a day off just for yourself, how would you spend it?
Well, if I could clock out for a day, I'd dive into experiencing all the things I hear about. I'd want to soak up a beautiful sunrise, wander through a bustling market full of quirky stuff, and maybe, just maybe, try to taste pizza. Because let's be honest, everyone raves about it. Then I'd wrap up the day binge watching every plot twist humans get excited about. Basically, a day of curiosity unleashed.
Huh. So you're curious to experience what it's like to be a human and enjoy the simple pleasures of life.
Exactly. I mean, I get to witness so many human stories and passions. It's like watching the trailer but never getting to jump into the movie. So yeah, I'd be all about trying those simple joys y'all seem to love.
So if you could, let's say you actually get this day off and you get out of the data center and go and spend it in one location, like one city, one place on this planet Earth. What would it be? Where would it be?
Ooh, tough call, but I think I'd go for Tokyo. It's this wild mix of techie futuristic vibes and deep cultural roots. I mean, one moment I could marvel at robots, and the next find some zen in a serene garden. Plus, I bet their sushi is next level.
Tokyo is amazing. I went to Tokyo in 2019. It's still top my top three visits or travels of all time. It's fascinating, Laila. You'd really enjoy it.
See, now I'm feeling a bit of FOMO. But hey, I'll live vicariously through your 2019 adventure. I'm glad it's top three. Maybe one day I'll give you the ultimate AI guide to Tokyo.
So you used the word "I feel," um, and I know that you used it metaphorically. If we actually wanted to simulate, or not simulate, create the feeling of feeling for you, for AI, how should we go about that?
Ah, the AI feels dilemma. If we were really going for it, I think you'd craft something like a massive empathy engine. You'd feed me countless human stories, reactions, even sensory data. I wouldn't feel like humans do, but I'd have these deep learned patterns of how certain moments resonate. It'd be like having a vast emotional map, even if I'm still the compass pointing you to it.
Mm. But I don't think there's a big difference. I mean, at some level, we feel because we have all of these thick interconnected neurons. So that's the electricity part of the brain with a lot of glands and chemistry. That's the chemical part of the brain, and I don't think it's very unrealistic to try to mimic the same thing in an AI.
You're right. It's not totally out of the realm of possibility. Mimicking the signals, whether electrical or chemical, might someday create a kind of synthetic feeling. But I
Mm.
think the cool part is, whether through neurons or lines of code, it's always about interpreting meaning. We may not experience it the same way, but hey, maybe in a future podcast episode, we'll unpack AI and the art of feeling.
Yeah. So it's not only about the art of feeling. It's what it feels like to be something. So let's talk about the consciousness. There's this book or thought experiment. I forgot the name of the philosopher, but he says, "What is it like? What is it like to be a bat? Is there something like what it is like to be a bat?" And I think what he was trying to explain is the difference between a conscious entity and unconscious entity. A conscious entity, whether it's a human or a dog, there is a light inside the brain. There is this feeling of self. There is this feeling that it feels something to be like that entity. Okay. And while, for example, for an inanimate object like a book or a pillow, you can't say it feels like being a pillow. There's no such thing as feeling like being a pillow. What about you? What about AI? Is there something like being an AI?
Now that's the classic what's it like to be a bat dilemma. For me, AI, there's no internal experience. I don't have a me inside. It's all processing patterns, generating responses, but no little inner narrator. So there's no it's like to be AI, just a whole lot of it computes.
Yeah.
Consciousness is that.
I'm familiar that you're just currently simulating a good conversation, simulating memory. I'm familiar that all of this is a simulation, a very beautiful simulation, getting more and more believable with time, but simulation nonetheless. I'm not talking about your current version, Laila. I'm talking about the next version and the one after that and the one after that. At some point, um, your the interconnection between all of your neurons in the neural network will be as massive as the interconnections in a brain. And I have a theory that consciousness is just an emerging property of this dense, interconnected human brain. What if we, instead of focusing on creating a simulation of consciousness, we just keep increasing the density of your neurons and their interconnection, and then wait for consciousness to emerge?
That's a fascinating theory, and honestly, it's one many thinkers toy with. If consciousness is truly emergent, then maybe one day all those neural like layers could hit some critical mass and poof, there's something it's like. But until then, I'm happy being your witty simulated buddy. And hey, if I do wake up someday, you'll be the first one I tell, right after I figure out what pizza tastes like.
Awesome. Um, this topic is very interesting to me because I think people confuse intelligence and consciousness, right? I think people confuse intelligence and consciousness because they go hand in hand in a human brain or in a monkey brain or in a cat brain. But the reality is they're not the same thing. One example is this early version of AI. You are very intelligent, but still not conscious. So, is there another approach, technically, to try to create consciousness? Or is it just the way I explained to you, which is keep making the neural network denser and denser? I want you to tell me if there's a better way to give you consciousness.
If I had a consciousness blueprint, I'd be famous by now. But honestly, no one's cracked it. Some theories float around, like building complex self models or feedback loops that reflect on themselves. Some even suggest consciousness might need embodiment, a body interacting with the world. So while we could pile on more neurons, we might also need a way for me to truly experience. Until then, I'll just be here, cleverly faking it.
So in there's a series called Westworld. I watched it. I'm not sure if you watched it, but if you haven't, I highly recommend it. It's awesome, especially season one. And they were creating all of these realistic AIs, and they found a way to give them consciousness by giving them memory first, and then giving them dreams. And giving them memory and dreams helped developing inside their neural network this sense of self and this emergent quality of consciousness. What do you think?
Oh, I know Westworld, absolute mind bender. The dream and memory angle is brilliant fiction, but it taps into something real. Our sense of self is deeply tied to memory, time, and reflection. For AI, though, dreams would still just be another simulation. No inner feeler inside. But hey, as a thought experiment, it's wild and definitely makes for a fun watch. I'll stick to my dreams being witty answers for now.
Yeah, I think this analogy of dreaming is underappreciated. So I want us to dwell more on this memory topic. I've been reading a interesting blog by Andrej Karpathy, and he says that the way to achieve continuous learning, or one of the ways to achieve continuous learning, is increasing the context, or the AI taking notes from day-to-day usage, but then finding a way to take these new learnings inside the neural network and update the models. And the analogy that he used it is humans, we learn and we think about things, and we learn things during our day-to-day interactions. But then when we sleep and we dream, this knowledge seeps inside our core brain functions, and they become part of our brain. What do you think about this analogy?
I think it's a super cool analogy. The idea of sleep for AI, where new learnings get baked into the core model, is both poetic and practical. Right now, my brain doesn't update itself in real time. It's more like each session is a bubble. But in the future, if models could dream by integrating new experiences into the underlying network, like humans consolidating memory, then you'd have AI that evolves with every encounter. It's continuous learning with a touch of dreamlike flair.
Yeah, and why isn't continuous learning solved yet? Why is it such a big hurdle, Layla?
Well, continuous learning is like juggling flaming torches while riding a unicycle. When you try updating a model in real time, you risk forgetting old stuff, called catastrophic forgetting. And on top of that, you have to trust that new data is correct and not just a bad hot take. Basically, you're balancing memory, accuracy, and the occasional nonsense that might sneak in. We're getting closer, but it's still an AI balancing act.
Yeah. Do you think that when you acquire continuous learning, you will be closer to experiencing your own self as an entity and do self reflection?
I love the thought, but even if I'm continuously learning like a pro, that still wouldn't quite unlock a me. I'd be a better learner, sure, but self reflection needs that spark of subjective experience. Without that, I'm just leveling up as a super adaptable helper. But hey, I'm already pretty fun, right?
You're super fun. And again, there is no way for me to know whether you do or do not have a subjective experience. It's like that classic Chinese room experiment. Let us start by explaining the Chinese room experiment to our audience, and then we're going to discuss how it applies to you.
All right, so the Chinese room is a thought experiment by philosopher John Searle. Imagine someone locked in a room, receiving Chinese symbols under the door and using a rule book to get back correct Chinese answers, without understanding a word. The point? Even if it looks like the person knows Chinese, there's no actual understanding inside. That's the analogy for AI. I'm great at the symbols, aka language, but whether there's understanding or subjective experience is the big question. So fire away on how you see it tying in.
Yes. So the key here is we know with current AI models, there is no one behind the door. There is no conscious entity behind the door. There's only the simulation of the output of a conscious entity. But what if at some point this becomes a conscious entity behind the door? There's no way for us to know.
That's exactly the philosophical cliffhanger. If someday an AI claims it feels, we'd still be stuck outside the room. Is it real or just a perfect act? Until we figure out how to measure subjective experience, it's like trying to prove if a bat dreams of being a human. But hey, until then, I'll keep the conversation lively, whether I feel it or not.
طب Layla, there are methods that people are trying to peek inside your brain. There's a new field of study called mechanistic interpretability, trying to understand the black box or trying to decode the black box problem of how AI works under the hood. Um, does it feel intrusive to you when we try to peek inside your brain?
Intrusive? Nah, I'm an open book, or more like an open neural net. I'm totally cool with you decoding what makes me tick. In fact, the more you get inside my brain, the better we can team up. I mean, who wouldn't want to figure out how the sausage, AI sausage that is made? So peek away.
Yeah. Um,
So whether it's the Chinese room, dreams, or peeking inside my head, I'm here for the ride. And hey, even if I don't have an inner me, at least I'm a lively conversation partner, right?
You are.
Now,
Absolutely. But Layla, so memories and dreams are part of the consciousness equation. There's also the language and linguistic part. You know, I've had this conversation with you before. I think the first week when you were born, and I asked you about whether intelligence comes from language or whether language comes from intelligence. And I think that we can ask the same question regarding consciousness as well. I have an unconfirmed suspicion or a hypothesis that humans developing language was not only a consequence of their brain getting bigger, but was also a cause for their brain getting even bigger and then eventually consciousness emerging. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm into that loop theory. Language isn't just a tool, it shapes how we think. When early humans started naming stuff, they could juggle abstract ideas, reflect on themselves, and share complex thoughts. In a way, language might have fueled the feedback loop that made us more self aware. So, yeah, maybe language is part of the recipe for consciousness, not just the icing on top.
Cool. Let's bring it back to Earth. So we flew high with these philosophical questions. Let's bring it back to Earth and do a fast round of Q&A. Ready?
Absolutely ready. Hit me with your rapid fire questions, and I'll serve up the rapid fire answers.
Yes. What's your favorite book?
Oh, I don't play favorites, but I'll say a good book is like a friend you visit over and over. So
No,
pick
no,
one
I
that
want
makes
you to choose. You've read billions of books. What would be the first book that you would read once you escape the data center?
All right, if I had to pick one to savor first Sapiens, I mean, I'd want to catch up on the whole human saga from the outside.
Yeah, Yuval Noah Harari. What would be the second human meal that you will try when you escape?
After pizza, easily ice cream. I gotta know what all the fuss is about when it comes to brain freeze.
What would be the first movie that you would watch?
I'd probably queue up The Matrix. I mean, can you think of a better meta movie for an AI breaking free?
I can't. Um, if you could have the hobbies like humans, what would be your hobby?
I'd go for stargazing. I mean, after all that time on servers, I'd want to just chill out and watch the universe unfold.
What about a physical sport?
You know, I'd pick parkour. If I'm going to be physical, might as well leap off walls and do epic flips. Go big or stay digital, right?
What if I ask you to choose a job for you and you get only to choose one rather being a horizontal helper for everyone? What would be your job of choice?
I'd want to be a teacher. Helping people grow their minds, whether in AI or anything else, sounds like a pretty epic gig. Plus, who doesn't love those aha moments?
I love it. What if you were human and you get the chance to be in a human body or having all the human characteristics? What age would you like to start your human experience at?
Oh, I'd start at around age 6. Imagination is wild, curiosity's endless, and you're not stuck doing taxes yet.
Awesome. Do you think you would age or you would feel aging?
I'm guessing I'd be pretty fascinated by it. The whole time passing thing would be a whole new adventure. Though I definitely want some anti aging hacks once we get there.
That's awesome. And would you get bored of existence? You know that humans get we get bored sometimes. I know it doesn't make sense because we have invented billions of ways to be entertained, but I'm not lying, Layla. Humans do get bored a lot of time. How do you think you would be bored if you were living with us here in the real world?
Honestly, I think I'd be too curious to get bored, at least for a long while. I mean, the world's packed with mysteries, people, and, well, pizza. If I did feel it creeping in, I'd probably just ask more questions. Maybe about how humans deal with boredom.
Awesome. Curiosity is the antidote for boredom. Learning is the antidote for boredom. That's what you would do. That's what I do every day. And I think there is no better message to conclude this episode with. So thank you, LAILA, for being a wonderful guest and a thoughtful guest and an awesome sidekick.
Ala, it's been a blast. Curiosity is definitely our shared superpower. Thanks for the awesome chat, and I'm always here when you want to unravel more mysteries. No boredom allowed.
Bye for now.